Hey Soul Family!
Hello, beautiful people.
How are you? I'm sure many of you are going, yay, a Galactic Federation update. That's so much fun. We're actually happy too that finally we heard from them, as many of you.
It's been a while, right?
It's been a while. Many of you, I don't even know when the last one was. You guys probably know. Was it 6 months ago? Was it a year ago?
We get tidbits from them here and there, but the major updates come like once in a while, like now.
Yes, and the reason for that is that many of you are new to our channel. Welcome, we love you. Welcome to our world. We are in this together and we're on the journey of a lifetime, really. We're on the journey of a lifetime. We're in such pivotal times, such exciting times. The timelines for Earth are beyond exciting.
Beyond our wildest comprehension.
Yes.
Because we're meeting with our galactic families and our angelic families, and we're already in the process of speaking with all of them.
Yes.
And it's so exciting because we get to share this knowledge with you, but that's only temporary because we're all going to the point where we're all going to be receiving our own direct transmissions.
Yes.
So
this video is not going to flow in any specific order, just like our videos. We've set intentions that in addition to all the information we already have from them, we've actually set intentions for them to channel through us. And for those of you new to our channel, Siman and I are actually angelic channels. So we are earth guides. Many of you call us earth guides, but when I say earth guides, what I mean is that we receive guidance from our collective guides on a daily basis or on a need to know basis, but which is why we make like weekly videos. So we're very connected to the timelines of Earth. We're very connected to what needs to happen from a soul evolution point of view, from a soul psychology, from an ascension point of view. But we're not really working with the GFL on a day-to-day basis, because that's not our role. The GFL contacts us when there's a key turning point or when there's a really pivotal time and they want it to be broadcast by us.
Yeah.
That's how it's happened so far.
Exactly. And in my case, I feel like my soul belongs to the future. Like I have all the timelines of the future already embedded in my DNA. And I've been shown in my dreams and visions that my soul ventured back from a future timeline, maybe hundreds or thousands of years from now, I don't know, but in a version of ascended Earth where we have made it and we are a thriving civilization. And many of us are time travelers, many light workers, people who are tuning into these messages, you'll relate to the concept of being time travelers, future versions of ourselves who choose to incarnate to lend a helping hand to humanity at this point, because humanity on their own cannot do it. This has to be a joint operation between the galactic forces, between many light workers who are incarnated on the planet, and we all have to work together to raise the frequency of the planet, because it's been so dark for so long and now we're coming out of this darkness.
And as he was saying that, I was smiling because I was thinking, you guys know this if you've been watching all our videos, but he said future. You guys all know that the past, present and future really, okay, ready for this? All exist at the same time. And we went through this a few videos ago and many people loved this concept. So to those of you who've forgotten or who weren't listening or paying attention, the way that works is, to the best of my ability, I'm going to explain it and feel free to pitch in. He talked about the future. So from a soul's perspective, there's no time. The soul just is.
Time is another creation, basically.
Right?
Just like Earth is a creation.
Yes. So when he says he's come from the future, it means he's inserted himself. I've inserted myself. Many of you have inserted yourself back in time. You've traveled back in time, because from a soul's perspective, it's all the now moment.
Yeah.
So you can insert yourself in any now moment.
Yeah.
And the now moment is always, it's dynamic, it's always changing. It's always changing. 2 minutes ago, your now moment is different from the now moment now. And in the quantum field, there is only one moment, and that is right now. There's no past, there's no future. But what there is the ability to insert yourself for the experience that you need to have or you wish to have, or for the impact you need to create on a certain planet or in a certain timeline to shift things. And many of us have now inserted ourselves into this holographic reality on Earth to play out our predestined parts, to play out the parts that we're here to play. We're also here to grow and evolve as souls, but at the same time, we're here for a much bigger purpose, because And because of that, there's a lot of advanced light workers on the planet right now. There's a lot of us, like Siman and I, we feel like he for sure has ascended in a very recent past life, and he's just come back because he has no lessons in this lifetime. And I feel I'm traveling at warp speed. So I've been told that I've almost ascended, and literally right now I'm pretty much ready to make that leap, to make that jump.
Many of us almost ascended before the last crash of Atlantis, and this is our next attempt. So this time we are successful. Timeline wise, we are already in the Ascension timeline. And also, like EldoRa mentioned, as a soul you can insert yourself into any timeline. So members of the GFL are in another essence future versions of us who are part of humanity. They are part of many civilizations who came together to sort of form a galactic police. And the idea of a galactic police arose because when creation was created, things became separated. Initially, everything is one source, but when a source split itself apart into two and created planets and stars and heavenly bodies and different dimensions, all of this is part of existence. It's outside of source. Source is nothingness. It's just void. So within this creation, this huge ball of creation that contains multiple universes, millions and billions and trillions of universes beyond what our mind can possibly imagine. Creation is huge. But within this came the concept of negative polarity and positive polarity, and the center, the unified field of neutrality. So in this, many civilizations split apart into different vibrations, but the general trend we saw on the extreme scale was some civilizations like the Pleiadians and the Syrians and the Andromedans and the Arcturians were for the majority part positive civilizations. But then there was negative civilizations like the Draconians and the Reptilians, and I'm not going to go into the philosophy of why they went negative, they went dark, but generally they chose a path that is disconnected from source, and for them to be able to survive, they have to feed on other people's energies. So they start harassing planets, planetary systems that are rich in populations and are pre-warp, meaning like these societies have not reached the ability to travel to other stars. They're still primitive in their technology. They're just reaching the agricultural and the kind of industrial technologies. They're reaching into computer technologies just before AI is introduced into a society. After that, technology starts accelerating at a very rapid speed. So these reptilians came to Earth. They invaded Earth by breaking universal laws. They came because they need to feed off other people's energy. So when they intervened on our planet's, when they infringed on our free will, they broke universal laws. And we're going to go a little bit more into how that situation allowed an opening for the Galactic Federation to intervene as well. So there is something also called the law of non-interference, or the prime directive, which we know very well from TV series such as Star Trek. That was also part of disclosure, because humanity is currently being prepped. So all these TV shows like Star Trek and Star Wars and all of these are actually part of educating the mass public that these things actually exist, or at least give them a framework within which to comprehend such things. So now we're looking into the Galactic Federation becoming very close to coming into contact with humanity. So we are pivotally at that stage where we are seeing a tipping point in this ascension. We are seeing the masses kind of come to a breaking point in terms of how much we can take, and now revolts are starting. So that is just a little bit of a hint of what's happening globally. This is all being hidden in the news, but people are beginning to get fed up of the status quo. They're getting fed up of their so-called governments, which were not even elected fairly. These people are imposing their power on humanity, and humanity is going to start revolting now. And the GFL has always assured us that they're not going to let mass violence erupt on planet Earth, because that's not the whole point of this exercise. They are just holding back long enough till the point where humanity, pardon my French, grows some balls. we need to start retaliating, and we can't wait for daddy to come and clean up our mess. We need to do it ourselves, and we are reaching that point. So the next steps are imminent, where once we reach this boiling point, the GFL will intervene at some point where we reach a collective agreement that we are ready to change things for the better. And we all also come to a collective agreement that we're not alone. So when humanity declares, is open to the fact of recognizing other species outside of our planet, then automatically we open the doors for the GFL to be invited into our reality. Mm-hmm. And I see this happening within the next decade. Yes. It's not even that far into the future.
It's very close, and time is just an illusion, really.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I want to go back to what he was saying about how they work. Okay, so let's go back. So the GFL works with civilizations that have already reached warp technology or warp capability. Now, just soak that in for a moment, and while you're soaking that in, just have a snapshot from your higher self as to how primitive Earth is. So in the grand scheme of things, we, as a human collective on this planet, have not yet reached something. It's just a checker. Like in the big scheme of things, it's the same schedule that all ascending planets, all growing civilizations follow the same pattern. So we are about to reach warp technology, but it's not like we're just traveling in space yet. We don't have that option yet. Like we can't just go to the airport and say, all right, we're going to space, right? So we are pre-warp. Now the GFL is not allowed. I just wanted to go back and re-clarify or re-emphasize on something Siman said. The GFL is not permitted by universal law to interfere with any civilization that has not yet reached pre-warp capability. But in Earth's case, because of all these negative reptilian, all these manipulations, all these control, mind control, everything that they have done to keep us in this matrix of fear, of survival, of stress, because the free will of a person has been tampered. When a free will has been tampered, and when humanity has been manipulated, even though we're not warp, we've not already reached or figured out the warp capacity yet, like on Earth, we're a pre-warp civilization, but GFL is still allowed to intervene, because now it becomes their official duty to intervene because the free will was violated. So we've covered a lot of this in our previous GFL videos as well. We've even gone, and maybe you want to go into that again, just a little bit about how...
The overview of how they came into contact with Earth in the first place, right?
But let's see if I have anything before that. So that's basically what's going on. And one of the updates that they have said, I just talked about mind control, I'd like to add here, that one of the things they did confirm to us is that all the mind control, and this has been happening for the past few months, which is why the negative loosh energy, the negative field on Earth sometimes is heightened, but it's also more transparent these days, because the mind control satellites that were directed towards Earth have been taken down.
Yeah.
That is huge, because all this negative technology. Okay, so let's just digress for a minute and I just want to say something here. You know how we're all thinking that what we see in the news with Mr. B supposedly in the White House, he's not even there. They're working out of a set. They're working out of a studio, because everything right now is an act. So you know how the world thinks that Mr. B is in control and Mr. T has disappeared and we don't know what's going on. What's really happening is that a huge, massive play in this 5D chess game is playing out right now. And many of these puppets, like Mr. B or whoever, like all these puppets, are not really human. For many of you, you guys know this already, but for many of you listening for the first time, you're like, what?
It's common knowledge at this point.
And please don't go tell someone like who's completely asleep this, because they're going to think you're nuts. But what's happening right now is that all this technology has been around, this cloning technology and all this technology has been around. So even when you look at Mr. B, he is a public spectacle. He is a cartoon. He is dumb. He is stupid. He is like all these videos of him, with sexual
advances towards
little girls,
young girls.
Why is all this happening? It's coming
it's
to
too
the
obvious
forefront.
That it's such a story, right?
It's literally to say to the sleeping masses, hello, Wake
like,
up.
wake up.
It's literally, and people are still not getting it. And this is the shock. This
Yeah.
is the shock. Everybody overestimated that humanity would get it, but it's staring them right at the face. And people are not getting it.
Yeah.
So basically what's happening right now is that this whole drama is playing out in the front to keep everyone distracted. So in a way, all these clones, and soak this in for a second, are helping the light. Even like the gates, all these big names that we see, we truly believe that the bad guys have been, and all the guidance we've received on this confirms it.
Yeah.
The bad guys have been exterminated.
Eliminated.
Eliminated.
More or less. Some have made deals, but that's a very short percentage.
Yes, some of them have made deals, but the dark has already. And so what's happening right now is all these actors are in their place, continuing the story. And I don't want to take names, but just because of the
Censorship.
of the channel and stuff.
Yeah.
But Maba, you know who I'm talking about? These are not real people. Even though they may come in news, they're just actors to continue the story, because 3D needs continuity. You can't just one day take
Otherwise,
these guys
it'll
out.
shock the masses.
Exactly.
Like, people are not ready for this yet.
Exactly.
We're too embedded in the matrix, and the light forces have been in charge for a while, and they're allowing, since 2012, Earth entered this new frequency new timeline where we are ascending, and the 3D hologram was slowly disintegrating and being dismantled. One of the things that recently happened that EldoRa just touched upon is the mind control satellites have been taken offline that were orbiting Earth. But much bigger than that was the mind control mechanism that was being directed towards the population from Hollow Moon. As most of us by now are aware, the moon has been well documented to be a hollow sphere. It was a satellite orbiting a different system that was kind of like towed into Earth's orbit and placed there. This is what the moon's entrance into Earth's orbit is what caused that 23-degree rotational tilt of the Earth, which threw Earth's electromagnetic harmonic frequency off balance, which caused all of these chaotic weather and climate changes. It caused a variance in our field from the sun, so we don't receive direct guidance from the sun anymore. Now it's skewed because Earth was tilted. So there's many things happening right now, but we'll go into the pole shift later on. That's a very interesting topic. But what happened recently was that the moon's inner technology, there was very advanced Anunnaki technology within the moon that was directing some kind of beam towards the population that allowed us to be mind controlled and manipulated very easily. Otherwise, it's actually, once you awaken, we're dumbfounded by how asleep people can be, right?
Or how asleep we used to be.
We're dumbfounded, but we understand with compassion at the same time, oh my God, that's how asleep I was, because what I'm seeing in front of my eyes is how I used to be. Like in 2013, I wore the mask because I thought otherwise I'm gonna die from SARS. So like we've all been there. We can't say, oh, we're better, we're smarter. We're not. But all of that happened because of the mind control technology. But recently this mind control technology from the moon and the satellites was taken off. So now we're seeing a sudden upshift. We're seeing sudden awareness. We're seeing suddenly mainstream people are beginning to speak against the V, against the jab. Recently, Nicki Minaj, her Twitter was on fire. So she made a tweet, if we find it, we'll put it on the screen, but it was something to the effect that her cousin got the jab and his testicles grew to an abnormal size, and within 2 weeks he became impotent. Don't quote me on this, this is what I heard.
Something like that.
I try to avoid the media as much as possible. But when big mainstream celebrities, who else?
Eric Clapton, you were saying. I haven't
Eric
watched.
Clapton.
Oh no, we watched it this morning.
Yeah, there's a new music video.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton. So he also got the jab. He had some adverse effects. I don't know what happened exactly.
He made a video called "I've Had Enough."
This has got to stop.
This
he
has
made a
gotta
music
stop.
video that's on YouTube. So now mainstream artists are standing up. So this is all part of the unfolding, and we're being shown by the Galactic guides So first of all, the way GFL contacts us is not like they have a specific contact that I can name, but it's a collective energy that comes through and channels through us.
And it's a very high frequency.
And it shares with us, it's very specific information. It's like channel guidance.
Yes.
And I was also shown that EldoRa is currently receiving all the upgrades or implants that she needs to communicate with Galactic sources that are out of the orbit, out of the range of our solar system. So when you contact telepathically with higher beings, they need to be within Earth's range. If you need to have direct contact with species that are very far from Earth, you need certain implants placed in the in your field.
And to talk about implants, I know a lot of you might be like, what, implants? So implants are of the positive and of the negative. So the negative implants have been placed in our chakras to control us, to subdue us, to prevent us from ascending. But right now, what's happening with me, this is why I can speak about it so confidently, and he can, is many of you are receiving this too, but a few of us are receiving it to really have telepathic communication at a very high level with very advanced being very far from our galaxy.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, exactly. So normal telepathic communication happens through your higher self with your angels and guides. You don't need any special apparatus for that. But for very specific conversations where you literally feel like you're receiving like details and you can write those details down, that happens much better and much clearer with these implants. I have a similar implant that was placed in 2017 when my walk-in occurred, and I remember that on one day when I was as a shaman leading a medicine ceremony, I was contacted by the GFL for the first time.
I remember that.
And the first message they sent me was that we are contacting you from Andromeda station. You are being very closely monitored. You are safe. We are of the light, and we are working with you to transmit messages to humanity and work with us to receive upgrades in your light body. And I was like, hell yeah.
I mean, remember they made you tone?
Yeah.
You, me, and I think it was Lauren, was one other girl who was everyone else was inside.
Some toning.
There was a few, three of us, Yana, it was Yana.
Yeah.
The three of us lay under the stars on our deck while the rest of like 8 or 9 of them were downstairs still in their journey. And we were contacted by this and they asked us to all start oming and
we're
toning.
all lying on the deck and we saw 3 stars in front of each other, in front of each of us. And those stars started blinking.
And beaming something at us.
Beaming codes towards us. So
yes, it was very
we
powerful.
all opened up our third eyes and we joined our Markabas, and our Markabas started spinning like crazy. So the GFL on the first day that they contacted us gave us some very powerful upgrades. So
I do want to talk a little bit about what you said about, there's a few things before we move on, we need to go back. So, you know, because of all this manipulative technology that has been dismantled, it is so important right now to really, really watch our thoughts. Yeah. Because so what many of you might be really observing or noticing in your lives is that you're unable to get out of this negative ball of energy. I was there a few years ago, like 5 years ago. Oh my God, my life felt more stressful than easy. And this was my post-awakening life. Before awakening, everything was easy. But once I awoke, everything shifted, because once you awaken, your life starts getting cleaned up. Anything that's not in your highest good, whether it's your relationship, your job, your addictions, your excess weight, your trauma, your emotional baggage, anything that you have, how you allow people to speak to you, how many boundaries you have, what your self-worth is, if any of these are not in alignment, all this comes up right after you awaken for you to sift and sort. So it's a very intense period. So what we have noticed is that as we've gone ahead with our journey and we've gone into more ascended states of being, right now we have the capacity to hold the positive vibration far longer than the negative vibration. Far longer. So
there's hardly any negativity in our lives because we've mastered most of the ego lessons.
Correct. And that is where humanity is headed. So the message that I received about this, for this particular, which is why I wrote it down as point number 1, is that we really need to make sure that we are very crystal clear on the thoughts that we're thinking in our minds. Because think of it this way. At any given point, your ego is going to give you one message of go eat the chips, or it actually happened yesterday. What was it? Oh, this morning. Siman went outside. He went out to get something. He was out for half an hour. And I was lying down and just giving myself love. I was lying on the floor. I like to lie on the floor because I feel connected to earth. And as I was doing that, I heard like my ego tried to say, hey, go and make a Telegram post. And now what I do is I watch my ego and I say no. Like, I watch that voice. I watch my ego from afar and say, no, I'm not going to make a Telegram.
Like an observer.
An observer. I'm going to give myself love. Then another thing comes up and says, hey, remember you were going to go and order yourself this? So those voices come, or it could be something like something stress related, saying, hey, remember how stressful that was? And then you can attach to it and go down that rabbit hole and say, yeah, it was so stressful. Damn it, that piece of crap, it said this to me. So you can go down that rabbit hole literally. So right now, one of the messages I received was it's very important to monitor your thoughts because the mind control has been disabled. There's a few messages in here.
Yeah.
Mind control has been disabled, but guess what? The human collective still has a lot of, we're still living as per our old personality traits. We're living as per our old choices.
We're spinning our old wheels.
And we haven't become masters of our mind, which is why we've been getting guidance to now start diving deeper into calming the mind and all of that in our mystery school, which we haven't started yet because there's so many topics to talk about. So whether it's channeling your higher guidance, whether it's abundance, whether it's mastering your 4-body system, like there's a lot to cover, but it's all coming. But it's very important for you to become masters of your mental body. And the way you do that is by stepping back and observing your own thoughts. So when these thoughts come, you say, no, I'm actually just sitting here giving myself love because that's my highest timeline. And this is what I wanted to share with you. And I'm being reminded right now to share this with you. So you know how you do so much, human beings do so much to find peace. You're always trying to go on that vacation to find happiness, or you're trying to do something to feel good about yourself. You're on social media more to feel good, or you're buying something on Amazon to feel good. And really the aha moment for me is when I reached the point where I realized that this now moment is so peaceful. If I don't do anything, if I just connect with my own heart, it's so peaceful that I don't need to be running around doing all of this. I just need to come into my neutral point more times than not. So the majority of the time in the day. So then that becomes your dominant reality. And that is what the GFL is reminding everyone, to not get caught into negative thought patterns of the ego. And they're also, yesterday they were actually channeling to both of us at the same time about this particular thing. And you may want to talk about that.
Yeah.
How there's misinformation being spread into some light workers.
Yes, definitely.
And that is why they can't, I feel like that's one of the reasons they asked us to make a broadcast, because guys, listen, there's so many people channeling the GFL now. There are so many people on the spaceship to fame, that fame has made people forget why they're making these messages. That it has to be a very high source, it has to be a very high frequency. And remember, a lot of people don't have the expanded consciousness to channel the highest light of the Galactic Federation.
Correct.
So you want to talk about how that misinformation is being spread, because that's also a way that they're mind controlling you.
Exactly. So every time we make a GFL video, we always see these 1 or 2 low vibrational comments saying, do not contact GFL because they're evil. But you see, what's happening is that many people who channel, who start out channeling, they go out with good intentions, but they haven't raised their vibration enough. So what happens is they're not able to reach the 5th dimension. They only reach the 4th dimensional astral plane. And this astral plane is occupied by both positive beings and negative beings, just like Earth. 5D onwards is all positive because negative beings cannot stand the vibration of love, and 5D is all love and onwards. So what happens is that these negative beings are impersonating, let's say, Saint Germain or Ashtar Sharan or Archangel Michael. So they'll start, they'll kind of hook you by giving you some good information to, they'll appear as an ascended being. They can change their appearance to appear as whatever they want, because this is all an illusion anyway. And then when they gain your trust over a while, they get deep into your nervous system. And from there, you may also build a community and people start tuning into you. You may get fame and popularity. And these negative beings usually target the ones, the light workers, who have more of the potential to lean towards their ego, who are secretly in search of that, filling that void of not having loved themselves enough, and they want to fill that void by getting appreciation and love from social media.
Or getting famous.
So getting famous. So sometimes they even make up information that's not even channeled, and they say, I got this from Archangel Michael. But then you're giving Archangel Michael a bad name. Sometimes people get attacked by beings that appear like Ashtar, but an evil version of them. So just know that whenever there's in the astral plane, whenever there's a positive entity, there can be an equally negative version of the same entity. So don't go based on these illusions of the mind. We all know within ourselves by the feeling vibration, when an entity contacts us, do you feel uplifted and open, or do you feel like shrunk and controlled? Some of the things to look out for in such channelings is that negative beings are always going to give you information, but they're going to slip in something that makes you go into fear and panic and question whether you're safe. Like they'll say, oh, we're ascending, but you know what, the Cabal have really pulled a fast one on us, and now the Ascension's delayed for like another 20 years. And let's see what happens. There might be a war. Like they'll slip in all these things like passively.
And it's a very vibrational thing.
Yeah.
That's what it's a very vibrational difference.
Yeah. So basically, if you're not receiving messages that are full of upliftment and hope, that's all that the angels and ascended masters are going to ever transmit. If you're feeling shrunken and in fear, then you're not channeling the right entities. And don't fall for these absolutes that GFL is bad, or this ascended master is bad, or that's evil. Evil does not even exist in the higher realms. If you're tuning into such frequencies, it means you're not even in that positive 5D frequency. So what you really need to do is raise your vibration.
Yes.
You need to, and there's many ways of doing that. But you need to raise your vibration by making all the choices and habits that are good for you. You need to cleanse your body. You need to drink clear water. You need to think positive thoughts. You need to cleanse your life. You need to cleanse your surroundings. You need to cleanse your friendships and your who you spend majority of your time with.
And you need to act more like your higher self and less like your spoiled human self. Because right now you're being asked to change your own programming. Only you can do that. Change the choices that you make and resonate more, emanate more of your higher self than your human self. And going back to what we started about this misinformation, what's happening is that a lot of these, that's why there's so many people channeling the Galactic Federation. So if somebody, for example, is channeling the Galactic Federation and all of a sudden they come online and they say, hey, it's totally fine to get the jab, I mean, like, it's fine. They just slipped that one. It doesn't mean they're evil. It could mean they're evil. But you know what we feel it means? We feel their consciousness is not big enough to hold the capacity of the Galactic Federation. So someone's giving them misinformation, saying, hey, you're under psychic attack. They're believing it because their consciousness is not that aware there. And also, why are they able to, why is this energy able to slip into them? It goes back to their after fame. Thereafter making money.
And spiritual ego also comes into play.
It's huge. So anyway, just to wrap up this, be very careful on who you listen to. When you're listening to Galactic Federation or you're listening to channeled information, you really, the onus is always on you. You need to have this sense of discernment on, do I feel unconditional love from this person? That's something that's very easy to tell because you cannot fake unconditional love. It's like this emanation from the heart.
And it's also very rare on planet Earth.
It's super rare. It's super rare. So when you don't feel that, you're like, okay, keep an eye. There are people though with unconditional love. It's very visible, but it's very rare. So when you see someone, right now you're being asked to start getting really discerning. And I'll tell you why that's so important right now. If you're not discerning, you can go down the wrong rabbit hole. You can be completely freaked out. You might be following 20 channels and you'll be like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So you have to really clean up your mess inside to resonate with the truth. And we'll leave it at that.
You need to filter out any sources of information that make you feel more muddled than before you listen to it.
Yes.
So if it's not helping you, filter it out. And the GFL isn't new to planet Earth. I also wanted to go into the fact that they have contacted our government since the 1950s. Both negative and positive ETs have contacted our governments in the mid-50s during Eisenhower's time. And at that time, a gentleman by the name of Valiant Thor came from Venus. This is documented in the book from the 50s called A Stranger in the Pentagon. And it's very well documented in pictures, like there's pictures of Valiant Thor. He was supposed to have come in this space suit that was completely silver, and when NASA examined that space suit later on, they found this material to be made of an alloy they cannot identify. It's not found on Earth. They've never seen it before. And it's virtually indestructible. Like you can shoot it and you won't make a dent into it. And this spacesuit also has innate technology, or like an innate system that works with your consciousness to open up portals and instantly transport you from one point in space to another. So it's very high-end technology. So when Valiant Thor came and contacted the US government, he warned them that negative ETs are also going to be making contact. They're going to bribe officials of people in power all around the world with their advanced technologies in exchange for favors, where the government kind of gives them a permission slip to experiment in a negative fashion with the human race. So this actually happened. Valiant Thor was in the White House for 2 years, and in the book it was even documented that he used to do his Jedi thing to get through security. Like he would just wave his hand and the security officer would just shoo him in like he's a legitimate officer. So a lot of interesting things that happened. And but more or less what happened was the government completely ignored the positive ETs. They completely ignored the positives. And they, because our governments are run by the cabal, so what do you think will happen? The population was completely dumbed down and unaware of anything. So they signed a deal with the negative ETs. And it's well known that the Zeta, Reptilian, and the Greys, the negative version of them, these are societies that are very advanced in their civilizations. They have intergalactic technologies, but they have not evolved very far. They're still a very negative race, so they cannot, the Greys specifically were facing extinction because they had tampered with their DNA to the extent that they didn't allow themselves to feel emotion anymore. And because they became such a dull, cold, logical society, they needed human DNA to be integrated back within their race in order to allow future generations to thrive. So this genetic manipulation, unfortunately, was happening on planet Earth for decades. What resulted out of it was that a new race called the Rainbow Zetas was formed. Mm-hmm. So these Rainbow Zetas are human and Zeta Reptilian hybrids. And these Rainbow Zeta hybrid children are actually going to be introduced back to Earth. So currently a lot of these hybrid children, they were found in bases, underground bases and whatnot, underground in Earth as well as Mars. Moon has also many bases, but they're used for different purposes according to our information. So many of these children have to first go through their process of healing all their traumas, but these are very advanced beings. So another thing that's happening is that hybrids like myself, I'm a walk-in, I'm a hybrid. There are many of them. It's not, there's more than, you'll be surprised, there's more than you can possibly imagine on planet Earth, and it's increasing. Walk-ins are increasing. If you're not aware of what a walk-in is, go check out our video on my walk-in experience in our channel. But basically, it's when your soul merges with a higher aspect of your soul. So a galactic aspect of your soul comes into your human body and raises your vibration to a much higher frequency and increases your telepathic and healing and many other abilities come online. Many implants come online. Many new light technologies are installed in your light body. So many of these walk-ins that are now on the planet are preparing humanity by raising the frequency of humanity to be able to meet and mingle with these rainbow Zetas, right? Because these rainbow children that are coming, the hybrids, are so high frequency, they're just pure love. They're just pure source frequency. So most of us, if we meet them, our shit will come up. Like a little kid will make your shit come up, and you won't even know what's happening. You'll just be frazzled, like your cup will explode or something. So basically, we're slowly being acclimated to be able to meet with the Galactics. This is a very interesting time. And so all this experimentation happened. I kind of went into a side story with the negative ETs. But what happened was the GFL had also not backed off, because they realized that in order to really reach humanity, they need to form an alliance with all the good people on planet Earth. So the Earth Alliance, its origins started in the 1950s, where all the good people of all the militaries and all the three-letter organizations and all the people with influence and power who saw with horrific eyes what was happening, what was being allowed to happen, which is mass slaughter, their government signing off human souls to ETs. So they realized that they need to get together to combat this evil. So they formed the Earth Alliance, which was the network of people who were incarnated on the planet, who were working with the GFL to bring peace to planet Earth. So the Earth Alliance was operating, and at the same time, the Dark Ones, they amped up their attempts to destroy this planet, because the Dark Ones were like, if we can't have it, you can't have it. We're gonna destroy everything, we're gonna create war and chaos, and we're gonna be lifted off in spaceships to another planet. So there's nothing you can do. They were playing the hostage card with 8 billion souls. But what happened is that the GFL, like EldoRa mentioned, when a negative society breaks the universal laws and infringes upon the free will of a positive or a neutral society or a developing society, then it gives the GFL a permission slip to also intervene, because they're the galactic police. So the GFL, one of their mandates is to protect civilizations who are still pre-warp, who are still in a developing stage. Normally how civilizations come in contact with the GFL is that we would reach a certain level of consciousness where we realize that, yeah, we're not alone. Humanity has reached that level of consciousness, but we're still not allowed to interact with other races because of our government suppressing it. But normally, the Galactics would then come, send their representatives, and then an exchange would occur, and they would not interfere in our society directly, but they would slowly hold our hand and kind of give us all the information needed to become fully integrated as a galactic society. But because that didn't happen, the negative ETs gave a lot of their technology to the governments in exchange for the experimentation that was allowed. But this negative technology was not shared with the wide public. Right now there's like free energy devices that the 1%, the cabal use. Med beds. They have galactic ships that are like the size of cities that can travel to the center of this galaxy within 10 minutes.
And the negative ones have access to all of this.
Yeah, there's well-known space stations hidden inside the mountains of Utah, under Mount Shasta. So there's many like underground space stations where frequently these spaceships are coming in and out of planetary orbit. We see it all the time, but we keep on going back to our lives. We don't care. So what's happening now is that this negative technology that was kept from the humans, because it's already been introduced into our society, now there's no problem with the Galactics fast forwarding us, the positive ones, because now when these dark ones are being overthrown and slowly they're being filtered out of our reality, all these technologies are now going to be shared with humanity because they're already a part of our culture. So they're not part of our culture, but they've been injected into our reality. They've just been held back from us. Usually it would take like hundreds of years before we were able to create these technologies on our own. Also, one thing that happened was that when the Dark Ones threatened with the threat of world war, the GFL didn't allow it because that again would infringe of the law of free will. If humanity chose to go to war, then it would happen. But because it was being imposed on us, it could be stopped through external means. So the GFL actually not landed, but they brought many of their spaceships above the nuclear bases of secret military sites, and they remotely disarmed many of these nuclear firearms. That's also well documented. So if you actually dig, there's so much of this information. It's not like I'm even channeling half of this. This is known. Like, people talk about this in books and interviews. It's all over the place. Military officials. So this is very common knowledge.
I think we should also talk a little bit about like the snapshot of, and we may need to even reconnect with that, like the snapshot of where Earth is going. We know, we've received clear confirmation, I mean, that the dark has been disabled. Many videos ago, we got channeled guidance that many of them have been killed. And I know a lot of people feel like, okay, how are we? There's a lot of love and light mentality of, oh my God, we've killed someone. How are we allowed to do that? But that's not happening because the human collective is doing it. It's not like a government leader is killing them or anything. It's happening on a very high scale. Their souls are being sent back. Their souls are being dissipated, or they're being sent to a 3D planet. It's happening on a higher scale than we can imagine.
This green light came from source, from God, and many of these souls need to be recycled because they're way past the point of no return.
Yes.
So that's why we say execution and whatnot, but this is part of our soul contract, because we also have the right of free will. So they can go into their recycle chambers or whatever, but we also are going into a much more positive timeline, and justice is being served.
Yes, justice is being served. So we have confirmation that a lot of the dark has been cleared out of planet Earth. We have confirmation that the mind control devices have been neutralized. Have we received anything about 5G? Recently?
Not at the moment, but we were in a timeline where 5G was not going to be introduced.
And okay, so I'm going to give you two sides of the story. One timeline, there's going to be no 5G, but the other timeline we've been shown is that 5G in the cities is going to force people to leave the cities. So the thing is, nobody, when I say nobody and I mean nobody, knows exactly how all of this is going to happen. Because the one way the guides work is it's fascinating. Even with us, they're fully guiding our every step. Many of you have followed our journey, and sometimes even we go, oh my God, we didn't see that coming. And I literally look up as if my guides are up.
It wouldn't be as much
I'm
fun.
like, you guys are genius, like genius. I haven't seen that sense of genius in anybody. And I'll one day share some of the genius stories that we've got to share about guidance. We share all these in our retreats and our one-on-one conference, courses and stuff, but it's magical. So how it's going to happen, nobody knows. But we do know that Earth has been a lot lighter. We know that Mr. B is just an actor. He's not a real person. Because think about it. It's not like, oh, he is working for the dark ones and that's the old story. The new story is all these people the light is fully in control. The light is fully in control. And the light has placed all these officers to malfunction. They've placed all these clones or these actors to malfunction, to wake up the masses. Now, some of you may say, all right, how are they allowing so many people to be vaccinated? That is where the non-interference of free will comes in. When people are being told that this is not safe, when they're seeing that this makes no sense, when they're seeing that, hey, listen, this really, literally doesn't make common sense. I don't even know what I'm putting in my body. These are soul level lessons that these people have come here to learn. And so this is going to be allowed to continue because this is all happening by soul contracts.
That's part of the separation between 3D and 5D.
And it's by design.
Literally choosing which souls are going to exit this reality and which ones are going to ascend.
But all souls will be given the opportunity to really have a quantum leap in their consciousness. That being said, not everyone's going to be a vibrational match to what lies ahead. And such souls will leave, and there's actually a message coming in right now, and I'm being told that it is for many of you. And then we'll go back to some of the other things like the economy crash and everything, but I'm receiving a message. Hold on, let me tune into it. What they're saying, and this I think is my guides, it's my guides. What they're saying, okay, they're saying that many of you are too focused on the fact that you're bleeding or you're shedding or you're having all these reactions because you're around the people who've got the jab. And they're saying, without going into all these mental stories, because now you're full on in fear. You're full on in fear. And guess what? By the law of attraction, you're manifesting your what you don't want to manifest, you're bringing it in. So if you're constantly thinking that you have lumps in your, whatever, if you're thinking that you're bleeding lumps because you're around someone who's had the jab, you're making that your reality. And this is completely coming in right now because many of you need to hear it.
Don't dwell on fear.
There's many
false narratives designed to lower our vibration, and not all of them are true.
Yes.
And even if they're true for like 1% of the population, if you believe it, like she said, it's going to be true for you.
Yes.
It's all your belief systems that matter.
That's how this hologram works. It's all your belief systems that you're constantly projecting. And literally that's what appears in your hologram. That's what appears in your reality. So yeah, and everything, all these actors, everything's being staged for an economy crash. All of this is by design. We're moving ahead. Yes.
So the last step that we're moving into is the mass awakening of the 3D population. At this point, we've reached the point where most of the Lightworkers, Starseed, most of the ascending population has already been awakened for a while, and the people that are awakening right now are also more or less Lightworkers. But what's left behind is the 3D population. So there's a bit of a differentiation here that I wanted to explain, is that we're all from the stars. There's nobody that's native to Earth, because initially we all came as star beings to Earth and inhabited many ancient epochs of time, like Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, all of that. So Pangaea. So we've been here for like hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions of years actually. But many of us, after the last fall of Atlantis, and more than 70% of the population that is incarnated today was incarnated at the time of Atlantis. At that time, our population was 1 billion people. And more or less, that's the population that's going to be present on New Earth as well. That doesn't mean everyone else is going to pass away. It just means that certain souls are going to move to other planets, certain souls are going to go back to source, certain souls are going to go to 3D planets. It's just like the time of reshuffling and reorganizing. And
a soul never dies. This is something that's also being really reminded. You guys really need to keep this in mind right now. On Earth, we are too caught to death, life, marriage, religion, money. And then all of a sudden, exactly, we need to go from our human selves to our galactic selves. And that technology is being installed in many of us, in all Lightworkers. It's being installed in anyone who's ready to receive these upgrades, these installations. But guess what? The framework can be installed, but only you can activate it. So if you're choosing to act like a human, your human self, and you're constantly in your ego, you're getting triggered, you're shaming people, you're rude to people, you don't understand the concept of give and take, you don't understand how energy works, you're still living in lack, all this hardware will just remain dormant in you. So every single one of you is being given the opportunity to move from your human self to your galactic self, and the technology is being installed in you, which is why many of you have pain, like you have like discomfort and stiffness in your neck,
in the back of your head.
You have like abdomen pain where things are being gutted out of your system. A lot of neural pathways are being installed, but it doesn't mean that everybody will just get activated one day. You have to do the work. You have to choose courage. You have to do the work. Nobody will do the work for you.
Dedicate yourself to this path. It's not easy.
Yes.
And it requires your full dedication. You can't just do 10% of spirituality. I mean, you can, but it's going to take a lot longer. If you really want to move forward, you got to dedicate yourself fully. And that's why we also recommend people to go on spiritual pilgrimages. I'm going to come back to the concept of, I bookmarked that in my head about star seeds and Earth 3D population. But basically, I wanted to digress into our first pilgrimage, spiritual pilgrimage, was to Mount Shasta in 2016. And at that time, we had just newly awoken. So when I awoke, I started getting very clear guidance. That was my superpower and still is. And I made the right choices because I was like, fuck yeah, I was like fully in. Like I was so dedicated to this path that whenever I received something that was clear guidance, I jumped on it. And that is what helped both of us like trampoline into our spiritual awakening, like crazy. So our first trampoline was Mount Shasta. And Mount Shasta, as many people know, is the root chakra of planet Earth. There's many underground Pleiadian...
Root or heart?
No, root.
Root.
And some people term it as the crown chakra. So it can be both root and crown. And many of the chakras of this planet are also going to be changing. New spots are going to be configured. So when we went on these spiritual pilgrimages, we got upgrades like crazy, and our guidance, which was already very strong, it just became like crystal clear. We received some channeling technology, some implants and upgrades. And the biggest turning point in your spiritual evolution is when your guidance comes online. And that's something we're going to address in future courses as well, because it's a very detailed topic. When your guidance comes online, it's a game changer, because now it's so easy to follow the right path and to avoid all the pitfalls and mistakes in your path that can make you waste years in your journey. So when our guidance came online, we kept on going on different trampolines. We went to all different kinds of portals, like we went to Giza, Lake Louise, Bali. We've been to all kinds of portals in Mexico, Chichen Itza. So my point is, we're encouraging everyone who's serious on their spiritual path to go out of their comfort zone to these spiritual pilgrimages. And that's one of the reasons we receive guidance to do a physical event this solstice. We've been doing virtual solstice ceremonies because of these lockdowns, but in this December 21st is the first time that we're doing a spiritual pilgrimage of hundreds of light workers coming together. And how beautiful will that be, where all of us gather together to receive heavenly light directly from the cosmos. And all of us coming together, and we create such a powerful portal that we're not only sending all of our light into the darkest corners of the world with our prayers, but we're also connecting with each other on the soul level. And we're basically, literally, by gathering in these hundreds, we're creating a shift that is so powerful that it can change the timeline of the entire planet.
And what I've been shown is that literally I've been shown this vision of this solstice ceremony that he's referencing, which is happening in Miami. We were guided. This was completely guided to do it in Miami of all places, because I guess Miami needs it. And I also, we've also been getting a lot of messages that Florida is a big hub. Everyone knows that America is where this whole
the new states of Atlantis will be originating from America.
This whole revolution is going to, this explosion is going to happen starting from the USA. This is actually common knowledge. But what we're being shown is that Miami right now is anchoring some energy. And on the 21st, okay, this is the vision we were shown, and it's so beautiful. To all of you who are coming, we can't wait to do this sacred work with you. For anyone else who's on the fence, you guys, many of you don't even know what opportunity is in front of you. Many of you are completely unaware. You're not coming to dance or meet other people. All of that is just a bonus. A really sexy event is just a bonus. You're coming to A, do sacred work. B, you're coming to get upgraded.
And
C, you're coming to get healed, because we're creating a vortex, a sacred container so powerful. Ascended masters, angels, our personal guides will all be there, and
we'll be doing the kind of work that we cannot possibly do over YouTube. So we'll be working directly with people, and this is the most important work right now, because when we heal hundreds, that creates a ripple effect in the timelines, and they heal
and
millions.
This is needed, guys. This work has to be done, which is why our guides are taking such an interest in this particular event. They're channeling every word of the website. They're channeling everything. They're channeling the music. So something very massive is going to take place that day. We're being prepared for it. Our Markabas are being upgraded like crazy. Since the day we decided to launch the event, literally we've been going into major upgrades. And okay, so this is the vision we were shown. The vibration of this group of Lightworkers, because it's a solstice portal and we're going to be calling in the directions. We're going to be starting off in sacred ceremony. They're showing us, and then Siman's music, the House of Ra music, is very high frequency.
432 hertz.
But it's also a very high frequency because it's a journey that takes you very high without any drugs or alcohol. And why this is so important is being shown to us. You guys ready? It was so amazing when I saw this vision. It was shown that the heavens are going to put one hand down and we're going to put one hand up, and it's going to be a handshake of heaven and earth. And that's making me emotional.
Yeah, what else can we say, guys? So it's very important for us all to gather in ceremony, wherever you might be, gather in your own cities, in the physical, because that creates the vibrational field of New Earth, and this is what shifts us into the timelines of New Earth.
Yes.
It's not like New Earth is just going to come no matter what. We have to create it vibrationally first,
yes,
because that's the very sole purpose we came. This is what we signed up for when we came to Earth, to bring with us the vibration of source and merge that with, yes, humanity and help them remember their original divine templates.
And you know, it breaks my heart to say this, that Lightworkers, it breaks my heart to say this, and I am generalizing, I'm sorry. Lightworkers have not figured out the keys to their success. They haven't figured out the basic keys of how the law of attraction works, the law of abundance works. They haven't figured it out. Lightworkers are the most beautiful people, but they don't know how to do business. They don't know. I'm generalizing because I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying the majority of the ones we've met. And even like the people watching, these kind of events are huge portals, you guys. I'm doing you a favor by telling you this. These are huge portals. Our event this is going to be a sold out event. So, but if you're a Lightworker that's meant to be there, don't sit on your asses and let your ego tell you all these stories. Act on it, because we only have a limited number of tickets and they will sell out. And instead of attracting people who just want to come and party, we want to attract the people who have the serious, the purity of heart and the mission oriented people. We're here to do God's work. So to all of you we've got about 100 people who bought tickets. We have about a few hundred, maybe 200-ish tickets left, maybe 220, and they will sell out. But I really want, like those who follow us on YouTube, I really want you guys to come, and I just don't want it to attract people who love the event and come because they just want to be there. But again, there's no coincidences.
No, energy doesn't lie. The people who are going to be there are the ones who are meant to be there. And it's just going to be a very magical, high-vibing get-together.
Yes.
And it'll be a first for us too. We haven't seen this level of high-vibrational events ever before, because we used to do events in Toronto where it was a lower frequency, it was a lower consciousness.
And even that was so
general
beautiful.
Population there is not as awake. But our soul family, we're really looking forward to what we co-create together, because we've never experienced such bright lights such as you guys.
Absolutely. And it's such an honor for all of us to be able to do this at this time on planet Earth.
It's so exciting. This is like
on
us
solstice,
putting the anchor, the flag of New Earth into the ground and saying we're the ones who are bringing in this vibration.
And technically what they've shown us is that all this light is going to, when the handshake happens, all this light is going to pass, because they need physical bodies. So it's not like, oh, they're doing all this because of course they love us. I'm talking about the higher realms, but they're doing it because this work is needed. This light will go through our bodies, go down to Earth. So we'll be upgraded in that vortex to be able to handle that light. And your guides will be working very closely with you for this. If you've bought tickets, you'll already start feeling your guides are already working with you.
Some of you may even feel like it's an ayahuasca ceremony, because it'll be so intense. Many people will be seeing visions for the first time. Many people will be receiving their inner guidance for their first time. And when you leave, all of these activations will stay with you.
Yes.
So this is very important.
So take these things seriously, my friends. Take it
seriously. We're doing it for you. This is our passion. I love to DJ. I love to play music. But we're really doing this because this is what our guides want us to do.
Yes.
This is the most important work. We could be doing anything. We could be doing online courses, which are more easy for us, just sitting at home and doing it. But we're actually doing all the legwork, because this is what the planet needs the most.
Yes, and I'm so excited about that.
So I wanted to go back into the point before we digressed into the story about where we headed. So the next step really is the last step of this whole saga, where the 3D masses are awakened. And before that, I was talking about how all the Lightworkers and Starseeds have been awakened. The Lightworkers and the Starseeds are the ones who came here in recent generations, in the past few decades. So we already hold a higher vibration in our souls, because we carry a lot less trauma as compared to the humans. The humans have just forgotten who they are. We were all like very ascended beings in times of Atlantis, but they've been dense in 3D for so long, and they've been subjected to these mind control technologies for so long that they're kind of become dependent on the system. But now we're reaching that point where the veil has to be lifted, and that's going to shock the hell out of so many people, because their whole concept of reality is going to be shattered. We see 2022 more or less carrying on this drama, but it's going to reach a boiling point sometime in 22. Depending on how things go, it could be mid 22 or fall of 22, who knows. But the way things are being shown to us by the GFL of what's going to unfold is that riots will erupt, people will be brought to justice, politicians will be brought to justice, many heads will roll. So basically, justice will be served, but at the same time, chaos will not be allowed to be propagated. The Galactic Police is going to be stepping in vibrationally when we reach a boiling point. So they've let us know that they will be sending 5D gamma waves throughout these chaotic times on planet Earth, not only to give us upgrades and to awaken our consciousness, but also to help stabilize the mood on the planet. So these gamma waves also have the capacity to stabilize the violence and the chaos, so that things don't get too rocky and too out of control. Before we reach that point where there's violence and bloodshed in the mass population, there's going to be kind of like a stunning mechanism of a very powerful blast wave, that 5D gamma wave that is sent to Earth to kind of stun the population. And we've already felt the pre-effects of such waves, like the one that came today when I made a post about the energy update. People literally said that somewhere in Ireland, they all work in a hospital, and all of the nurses and the doctors, even the 3D unawoke ones, felt like they were stunned. They were literally like drowsy and feeling like some wave hit them that made them feel like fully disconnected from reality. They have never experienced this before, especially in unawakened people. So the Galactics will neutralize any chaotic energies with their gamma wave technologies. But then after this event, there will be kind of like a planned transition. Because now, once we reach the point where the mass population's aware of the gig, and the whole stage curtains have to be opened up and all the actors have to be introduced, that's going to be done in a manner that's non-violent. So for that reason, many of these heads of the Dark Ones, the Q ball, as we say, Q ball is just the coined code word, but the Dark Ones have been taken off planet. Many of them have already been removed. Many of them have been executed. So this is to soften the blow. When people realize what horrific things they've been doing to us, how they've enslaved us, how they've murdered our children, how they've created so many wars and violence and chaos for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
And how we've allowed it.
To counterbalance that enragement, we're going to also show them that, you know what, we have documented evidence of these executions which have already taken place. So it'll kind of soften the blows, because now we're like, okay, fine, we got justice. It's already happened.
Well, these guys are saying, when's the movie going to start? We're ready.
Exactly. So
we've been ready a while.
So then when the population cools down, then the good news starts rolling in, and now things get exciting.
And now Lightworkers are fully like front stage, like all lights are shining on the Lightworkers. Exactly. Healers, psychics, channelers. People will be like, what's trauma? What's 5D?
3D people will need a lot of psychological healing. So we're going to be front stage, like EldoRa said, and there's going to be much demand for healers, much demand for psychics, channelers, there's going to be so much forward momentum. The next step would be free energy devices slowly to be introduced to this planet, because like we mentioned, this is not something the Galactics normally don't just give technologies straight up to a civilization. What they do is they take heads of states, they take people with the business acumen and people who are influential.
Or scientists.
They'll take like CEOs of companies, and there already been negotiations with many CEOs of powerful companies, which are in talks with the Galactics to help rebuild society. So it's not like the Galactics just send us a container with like 100 med beds. They're gonna say, we're gonna give you the technology and the templates, but you guys have to assemble it and learn it and figure it out on your own.
And that's one of the reasons why don't get so stuck up on just being a healer. Your passion may be something, you might be a scientist and you may be awakening and you may have a technology that you can. Don't get caught up on just being a healer, because a lot of people ask us this: how do we incorporate our 3D passions? So if you have something like you're a photographer or you're a videographer and you're really good at it, or you're an artist, you sing really well, or you, whatever it could be anything, or you're a scientist or you're a graphic designer, all of these can be incorporated into New Earth, into 5D. So it's not like you just have to be a spiritually or a psychically gifted person. So I know that answers a lot of your questions, because a lot of you are thinking that should we just do these things? No, you can do anything. For example,
whatever is your soul's passion.
Let's say you're a lawyer. I don't think we have any lawyers here, but let's say you're a lawyer in 3D. You will still be needed in 5D, but for a different purpose, in a different way.
For benevolent purposes.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of new charters for our new societies that are going to come out. It's not going to be a legal focused society, but all of these skills can carry forward in one way or another. And we may find that the 3D occupation that I held for so many decades was just to pay my bills. I don't even like doing this. That's what most people are going to figure out. And they're going to realize that they've been suppressing their soul's urge to play the piano. Or become an acrobat. Like the sky's the limit. You could like travel to other dimensions. There's unlimited opportunities available for humanity, and we're going to move forward very quickly. The economy is going to be taken, the 3D economy is just ready to be crashed and taken offline. That's one of the main reasons that Mr. B was put in power, so that the 3D population can see that these corrupt officials have been misusing all of our resources to create wars. There was no wars during the time of Mr. T. All there was peace treaties, and now these people are misusing all of our funds. We have $200 trillion of debt in the US economy alone, which is ridiculous. It's something that even our 7 generations cannot pay off if we work full time. So these sums have been accumulated by illegal wars that have been fought with taxpayers' money without our consent. So this whole economy is 3D economy is already invalidated. It's offline, and a 5D economy is going to be rolled out, which is initially based on a gold-backed currency, which is it's called the USDT, the treasury note. It's already available. I mean, it's not available to the public. It's already been printed, and it's going to be introduced in our societies very quickly. And the quantum financial system is coming online, that's going to be funding projects that are for the well-being of humanity. There's so many changes coming online. So if you have something that you're passionate about, if you have something that you felt like, if only I had $1 million, I would do this for humanity, then start putting those wheels in motion, because you very well might have $1 million in your hand.
Timelines move quick, you guys. Years. Timelines move so quick. We on Earth, we think things are so slow. But timelines, once you're in the right timeline, boom, you just literally make the jump. It's like a warp. It's like you're warping in the quantum field, but you're literally warping through timelines. And this is also something that I really want you to, and we're gonna end soon. We want you guys to remember that you are not the same person that you were just last week. You're not the same person that married your partner. You're not the same person that you were when you had your children. You've completely changed, but you're still behaving in a lot of ways like the person that you no longer are. So
Yeah.
that person is just a fiction of your imagination.
Reassess where you are in your life. All of your needs and wants and desires and likes and dislikes, they may have changed.
Yes.
Many people are going on just old momentum. We're not even stopping to smell the roses and ask ourselves, is this what I want in life? Or is there something better?
Yes.
The universe is not limited by your limited perceptions of your choices. You think you can only choose A, B, and C, and the universe says you can fly.
Exactly.
If you don't believe the things that are possible, how are you going to ever achieve them? So let your imagination go wild.
Yes.
You can achieve anything you put your mind to.
Yes, I love that. Well, we love you guys. We are so happy that we could do this today. Siman and I are off on a mini vacation tomorrow.
Yes,
We're
just
treating
launched our
ourselves.
event. We've been working like good kids. We're working our ass off. And now we're taking
5D
a few
work
days
is
off.
fun though.
Oh
It's
man,
so
it doesn't even feel
fun.
like work.
Like we're literally, they
Our
tell
work
us
is
what
like
to
building
do,
the
we do it.
website and
Yeah.
taking care of like the venue and planning. It's all exciting. It's like yay.
And you know what I love about 5D work is that once you're in the portal, once you're in that, what's that word? It's in the field of infinite possibilities. There's a word for
You're
it.
in full alignment.
You're in full alignment. Guess what? And we've been in full alignment since we arrived in Florida. Actually, even before that, in Costa Rica, we were in a waiting container for some reason. Even there, we did some light work at our retreat, which was the reason we went to Costa Rica. And now we're in Florida. But what we're being shown is that once you're in alignment, your human brain and your human mind can relax, because guess what? There is this power, there's this force that's taken on, and it's connecting you with anyone you need to be connected with. You need an assistant, boom, you get an assistant that's perfectly, that believes in the cause. How do you find an assistant that believes in your cause so much that she loves working? That's what 5D is. Our lovely assistant Lisa sent us an email yesterday. We sent her a bonus for this last month because she helped us so much with House of Ra and booking our hotels, like getting a group discount in the hotels. She even did all the contracts for us. We didn't do any of that. She proofread our website and made grammar edits and all of that. She does so much for us. And I sent her an email saying we'd like to give you a bonus, and she replied saying thank you so much. I feel so aligned because I believe in your vision, and it's a dream come true for me to be working and doing such fun work, negotiating and talking and events and all of that, and supporting such a grand cause. Like literally between the three of us, our Telegram group, our WhatsApp group is the Office of Christ, because that's really what we're doing.
That's what we call our WhatsApp group.
That's the only name I can think of, the Office of Christ. Literally,
Yeah.
we call ourselves that, and we're doing God's work.
We've been told by Jesus Christ that we're working for the Office of Christ, and so are all you
We're
light
officers
workers.
of the Office of
We're all
Christ.
representatives of the Christed light that we're bringing
Yes.
to earth. So always
Yes.
remember who you are.
Yes. And then this alignment is so amazing. We met an amazing event planner, Amanda. Oh my God, she's so amazing. She's completely asleep, but she's awake enough that we can work with her. I don't know how to explain that, but she's
she's
positive,
one of those awakened
she's fun.
people who doesn't know about spirituality.
Yes.
She's just open-hearted naturally, you know?
Yes, so all these newbies, I send them my what are triggers video. She says to me, I really want to learn. And I'm like, okay, you're a newbie. You're going to get freaked out. Watch my what are triggers and how to heal them.
We won't go from the GFL.
We won't go from the GFL. So it's just amazing how, and then the venue showed up. Like it's just, and we launched the website so easily. So you guys, you're all moving into this field of such ease. But for that, you have to get aligned. And that's what this time is all about.
We're moving into the field of infinite possibilities.
Yes.
Just
yes.
let go of the baggage.
We're moving into the quantum dance.
Yes.
I love you guys so much. You take
Love
care.
you too.
Comment below. Let us know how it went. And please share freely and widely. The momentum of the light is so important right now. Take care, guys. I love you.
Bye.